Have you ever felt trapped, as if you're reliving the same struggles day after day, year after year? Have you wrestled with discipline, trying with all your might to change, only to find yourself back where you started, exhausted and defeated? If your soul is whispering yes, I want you to know you are not failing, you are not broken, you are simply on the verge of a profound awakening. This feeling of being stuck is not a curse. It is a sacred invitation from the deepest parts of your being. Carl Jung, a true architect of the soul, once said, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can never be solved but only outgrown." This message is the key to unlocking the chains of self-sabotage and stepping into the divine power you were always meant to wield. What if I told you that your lack of discipline, the very part of you that you've been fighting against, is not your enemy? What if it is a guardian, a misunderstood protector trying to send you a message from your higher self? Today, we will embark on a journey into the hidden truths of the human spirit to understand why true discipline has nothing to do with force and everything to do with divine alignment and self-compassion. If this message already resonates with the frequency of your own experience, let your spirit guide your fingers to like and subscribe, and share your journey in the comments below with a simple, "I understand," because you are about to see your struggle in a completely new light. For years, you've been taught a lie about discipline. You've been told it's about pushing through the pain, grinding harder, ignoring that quiet inner voice that begs you to rest. You've been told to wage war against your lazy side, to conquer your procrastination, to force yourself into a mold that was never designed for your unique soul. But Jung would tell you, with the calm confidence of a sage, that this approach is the very reason you have been failing. It is a path of resistance, not alignment. Think back to a time when you were truly disciplined, not through force, but through flow. Remember when you were so absorbed in a project that you stayed up late, not because you had to, but because you couldn't imagine stopping. Remember waking up early, not because of an alarm clock, but because your spirit was so excited about the day ahead. That is the frequency of true discipline. It is not about fighting yourself. It is about aligning with your divine purpose. It is an effortless action that flows from a place of genuine desire and inspiration. Jung called this profound process individuation, the sacred journey of becoming whole. And here is the secret that most people miss on their path. You can never become disciplined by rejecting the undisciplined parts of yourself. You can only become disciplined by turning toward them with courage, listening to their whispers, and finally understanding their sacred message. So, why do we fight ourselves? Why do we procrastinate on the very things we claim to want most? Jung discovered that this internal battle is not a sign of a character flaw, but a cry for help from a part of your psyche that has been abandoned. He found that being undisciplined is a profound form of self-sabotage, but it is not born from a desire to fail. It is a cry for help from a part of yourself that's been abandoned. You spend so much energy and time battling your lazy side that you never pause to ask the most important questions. What if this so-called lazy side is actually trying to protect me from something? What if my lack of discipline isn't the enemy, but a guardian that's been profoundly misunderstood? Every time you call yourself lazy or undisciplined, you are actually abandoning a part of your psyche that desperately needs your attention. Jung believed that the parts of ourselves we reject and deny become what he called our shadow, the hidden, unconscious aspect of our personality that controls us from the darkness, pulling the strings of our lives in ways we cannot see. Your undisciplined side is not your enemy. It is your teacher. It is a messenger from the depths of your soul. And until you learn what it is trying to teach you, you will remain trapped in the same cycle, fighting the same battles over and over again. This undisciplined self, this inner protector, has an origin story. It wasn't born yesterday. It was created years ago, forged in moments of pain that you might not even consciously remember. Perhaps you were 8 years old, your heart filled with excitement for a school project. You poured your soul into it, worked harder than you ever had before, staying up late to make it perfect. You presented it with pride, only to receive a bad grade, or worse, indifference from a parent or teacher. In that moment, a part of your psyche learned a painful lesson. Trying hard leads to pain and disappointment. It's safer not to care so much. Or maybe you were a teenager, wanting desperately to get in shape. You started running every morning, eating better, and for a while, you felt wonderful. But then someone made a thoughtless comment about your appearance, or you missed a few days and felt like a complete failure. Another lesson was seared into your unconscious mind. Discipline only leads to shame and disappointment. It's better not to even try. These seemingly small moments are the seeds from which your protector self grows. This part of you learns to associate effort with pain, ambition with heartache. Its prime directive becomes keeping you safe, and sometimes the safest thing to do is nothing at all. This is the heart of self-sabotage. It is a conflict between two fundamental aspects of your being. Deep inside you live two people. Jung would call them different aspects of your personality, or archetypes. First, there is the achiever. This is the part of you that makes plans, sets goals, and dreams big. It's the part that buys the gym membership, downloads the productivity app, and promises to wake up at 5 a.m. It yearns for growth, for expansion, for reaching your highest potential. But there is also the protector. This part of you remembers every single time you tried and failed. It remembers the sting of criticism, the ache of disappointment, the shame of not being good enough. The protector's job is simple: keep you safe from feeling that pain ever again. So when the achiever says, "Let's do this," the protector whispers, "Remember what happened last time. Remember how bad it felt when you quit. Maybe we should just stay in bed." It's safer here. Most people think this is a battle between good and evil, between their productive self and their lazy self. But Jung knew better. This is a conversation between two parts of yourself that both want what's best for you. They just disagree on the strategy. The achiever wants growth. The protector wants safety. And until these two parts learn to work together, you will stay stuck in the same cycle of ambition and self-sabotage forever. To break this cycle, you must understand the archetypal energies at play within you. Jung believed that all humans share certain universal patterns of behavior and thought, which he called archetypes. When it comes to discipline, there are 4 main archetypes that live inside every person, each with its own light and shadow. The first is the warrior. This is the part of you that wants to conquer challenges, that loves the battle, the struggle, the feeling of overcoming obstacles. When healthy, the warrior makes you feel strong, determined, and resilient. But when wounded, when pushed too hard for too long, the warrior either burns out from fighting too hard or gives up entirely, retreating from the battlefield of life. Then there is the sage. This is the part of you that wants to understand, that makes plans, learns strategies, and thinks through problems. When healthy, the sage makes you wise and thoughtful. But when wounded, the sage gets stuck in analysis paralysis, always planning but never doing, trapped in a maze of information without taking a single step forward. The third archetype is the innocent. This is the part of you that wants to feel good, that seeks comfort, pleasure, and ease. When healthy, the innocent knows how to rest and enjoy life, bringing balance and joy. But when wounded, the innocent becomes the voice of procrastination, the part that says just this once or I'll start tomorrow, constantly seeking immediate gratification to avoid any hint of discomfort. Finally, there is the ruler. This is the part of you that wants to be in control, that creates structure, sets boundaries, and makes things happen. When healthy, the ruler makes you organized and reliable. But when wounded, the ruler either becomes too controlling and rigid, suffocating all spontaneity, or it completely abdicates its throne, avoiding responsibility altogether. Here's the key. Most people try to strengthen one archetype while ignoring the others. They become all warrior with no innocent, burning themselves out. They become all sage with no ruler, thinking endlessly without acting. They become all structure with no flexibility. But Jung knew that wholeness, the true aim of our spiritual journey, comes from integrating all parts of yourself. So how do you integrate these powerful, often conflicting parts of your being? Jung had a process for this, and it's simpler than you think. It begins with a radical shift from fighting to listening. Step 1 is to acknowledge each archetype. Instead of fighting your lazy side, you talk to it. You can do this through journaling or quiet meditation. Simply ask, "Hey, I notice you don't want to go to the gym today. What's that about? What are you afraid will happen if we go?" You are not giving in. You are gathering divine intelligence. Maybe your innocent archetype is simply tired and needs rest. Maybe your warrior archetype is wounded from pushing too hard yesterday. Maybe your sage archetype has concerns about the workout plan, believing it isn't optimal. Step 2 is to listen to these voices. Instead of ignoring or shaming them, you treat them like different advisors on your personal council. Each one has a valid perspective rooted in your past experiences. Each one is trying to help you, even if its methods seem counterproductive. By listening without judgment, you begin to heal the internal division that has held you captive. Step 3 is to negotiate. You become the wise leader of your inner world. You say, "Okay, innocent, I hear that you're tired. Warrior, I know you want to push hard. Sage, I understand your concerns. What if we find a middle way? What if we just do a 10-minute walk instead of a full workout? Warrior, would that feel like progress to you? Innocent, would that feel gentle enough? Sage, does that seem like a reasonable compromise?" This might sound silly, but Jung believed that most psychological problems come from these unresolved internal conflicts. When you start treating the different parts of yourself as valuable team members instead of enemies, something magical happens. You stop experiencing internal conflict. The different parts of yourself start working together instead of against each other. You stop fighting yourself and start leading yourself. This is how you become truly individuated, a whole person who can act from a place of inner unity and profound power. This is the ultimate goal of discipline, not to control yourself, but to harmonize yourself. This journey of harmonization is made more challenging by the world we live in. Jung discovered something he called the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of experiences, patterns, and archetypes that all humans inherit. One of these ancient patterns is what psychologists now call the pleasure principle, the natural human tendency to seek immediate gratification and avoid pain. This isn't a flaw in your character. It is a survival mechanism that is wired into your brain. For thousands of years, humans who could find immediate pleasure, food, safety, companionship, were more likely to survive and pass on their genes. But here's the problem. We now live in a world that is designed to hijack this ancient wiring. Your modern environment bombards you with opportunities for instant gratification. Your phone offers instant connection and social validation. Streaming services offer instant entertainment. Online shopping offers instant acquisition. Jung would say that our modern world has activated the pleasure principle in ways that our ancestors never had to deal with. The truth is, we're not lazy, we're overstimulated. Our brains are constantly being pulled away from meaningful, long-term goals by the siren song of short-term pleasure. The solution isn't to fight this wiring, it's to work with it. Instead of trying to eliminate all pleasure from your life in the name of discipline, you must learn to find pleasure in disciplined actions. You make your morning routine something you enjoy, not something you endure. You find ways to make healthy eating taste good. You discover forms of exercise that feel like play. Jung believed that sustainable change comes from alignment, not resistance. When you align your discipline with your natural patterns instead of fighting them, discipline becomes effortless. This is the paradox of what he called Wu Wei, a concept he borrowed from Taoist philosophy. It means action without forcing. It's like a master craftsman working with wood. They don't force the tool against the grain. They work with the natural patterns of the wood. The result is both more beautiful and requires far less effort. This is what disciplined living looks like when you're doing it right. You're not constantly fighting yourself. You're flowing with your natural rhythms, gently guiding them toward your highest goals. Ultimately, this entire process is about the transformation of your identity. Jung understood something that modern psychology is just beginning to discover. Lasting change happens at the level of identity, not behavior. Most people try to change their actions first. They force themselves to wake up early, eat better, exercise more. But deep down, they still think of themselves as undisciplined people who are trying to be disciplined. Jung would say this approach is doomed to fail because it creates a constant internal conflict. Part of you is trying to act disciplined, while another part is holding on to the identity of being undisciplined. The solution is to change your identity first. Instead of thinking, "I'm an undisciplined person trying to be disciplined," you start thinking, "I am a disciplined person who is still learning." This isn't about lying to yourself or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about recognizing that your current identity was formed by past experiences, and you have the divine power to create a new identity based on who you want to become. Jung believed that this process of identity transformation is at the heart of all psychological growth. You don't just change what you do, you change who you are. This transformation happens gradually, through small, consistent actions that reinforce your new identity. Every time you keep a small promise to yourself, you strengthen your identity as someone who keeps their word. Every time you choose the harder path that leads to growth, you reinforce your identity as someone who values long-term benefits over short-term comfort. Over time, these small actions accumulate into a new sense of self. You don't have to convince yourself that you're disciplined. You have evidence. This is the sacred role of suffering in our growth. Jung had a controversial idea. He believed that suffering is necessary for growth, not because suffering is good, but because it forces us to confront parts of ourselves that we would otherwise avoid. When you are trying to become more disciplined, you will suffer. You'll feel the discomfort of waking up early when you'd rather sleep in. You'll feel the frustration of working when you'd rather relax. You'll feel the anxiety of facing challenges instead of avoiding them. Most people try to minimize this suffering. They look for hacks, shortcuts, and easy solutions. But Jung would say this approach misses the point. The suffering isn't a bug in the system, it's a feature. Every time you feel the discomfort of discipline and push through it anyway, you are proving to yourself that you can handle discomfort. You are expanding your capacity for growth, becoming stronger, not just in your actions, but in your very character. This is suffering that transforms you. This is what it means to be truly disciplined. Not rigid, not forced, not perfect, but integrated, authentic, and aligned with your deepest values and highest potential. The journey ends where it began with self-understanding. But now you understand not just your weaknesses, but your strengths. Not just your problems, but your infinite possibilities. You are on your way to becoming who you truly are. 202.9 second.